All right, everyone. Welcome. We are at the championship week of the NFL. It feels like yesterday I was saying, can you dig it? Can you dig it? When football began. But hey, I am not just Cyrus. Anyway, coming into this week, we got some great games to go over, some games to predict. And, of course, we have all the rigmarole we have to go through. And I know one thing we have to do is talk about Patrick Mahomes and all his shit. It's been kind of played out, and we're not going to probably give you any more insight to what everyone else is saying, but it is what it is. So welcome to David and KD. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm doing good. I'm actually kind of relaxed now. So
there you go. That was well, I guess we will kind of jump right into things here. What had happened last week is Jeff was 2-2, David was 3-1, KD was 2-2, Eric 3-1, I was 3-1, and Hot Pockets was 2-2. So David and Jeff are now tied. And this is going to be big what happens in the next 2 weeks to see if brother versus brother can win, or do they tie? Maybe a little frauding going on there, but that's okay. We're used to it from the Lodick boys, and we'll take off the low from their name and just call them dicks. KD is, he's coming on, but he's better than them, but he ain't better than me. When will you guys decide just like to give it up and be like, okay, Sean, you are the guru? Can I hear it from you guys? Just tell me how good I am.
No, I'm not going to tell you that because you got Hot Pockets. I mean, you went 3-1 and Hot Pockets is still you're still tied with Hot Pockets, man.
Now, well, Hot Pockets also the last week of the season, he just went with every team I picked. So I couldn't catch up.
If you would have followed my lead last week and been 5-1, you wouldn't have had this issue. But no, you have to go and be a lone wolf and do stupid stuff like Eric, and now you're sitting back tied, man. It's like you're kissing your sister.
I'm only ahead of you by 9 games. It doesn't, like that means I should listen to David. The whole point of this program is to not listen to David. This should be
yeah. Except the playoffs where I'm 8-2.
Playoffs.
But yeah, you keep kissing Hot Pockets, buddy. That's all right.
That's okay, because it actually probably is going to come down to the Super Bowl for the thong. Yep. And that's going to be a very humiliating 24 hours on Facebook for me or him. I'm hoping. I've had to endure it once before, and it's not good. Anyway, so that was where we sit right now. And I'll take that off, and let's talk about the divisional weekend recap. Thank you, KD, for these wonderful slides. So the first game was the Texans versus the Chiefs.
Hey, Eric,
14-23.
Yeah, you see that? Those are the scores. So I just wanted to make sure you were still on. I didn't want you to go, what are those numbers up there?
Yeah, I was not delirious this weekend. I came back and pulled myself up by my bootstraps. And yes, I was going to make that joke, but thank you, David, for getting on that. Okay, so the Texans were moving the ball. They really were. They just the stupid mistakes. The opening kickoff. I'm trying to really figure out what the fuck was going through Boyd's mind. because he takes off his helmet, he throws it. I mean, I want to say he thought he caused a turnover that the Texans got, and he was excited, and he was like, "Hey, wow." I don't know if that's the truth. What the? Does anyone have any more insight?
I think he thought that from what he said, and I think this was kind of true, is I thought he got the turnover, he caused a fumble, and I think he thought that Houston recovered. The problem is number one, you never take your football helmet off in the field to play, period. I mean, that's just a given. But more importantly, and I don't know if he was upset that they gave the ball to Kansas City. I don't know if he ran off the field before possession was established, but he could have been upset that he thought Houston had the ball, but they gave possession to Kansas City and he threw his helmet like he was mad. But regardless, it's just a play you don't, as a defender, you know better than to do that, especially if Kansas City has the ball. Now they get the ball 15 yards closer, and, the rest is history. So,
So instead of returning it for 65 yards, they returned it for 80.
Yeah, pretty much.
KD, what did you see?
I mean, to me, the play looked like it was routine. You got to play through the whistle. That's one. Then number two, you got to keep your emotions in check. Because let's just say you did get the turnover, right? And if you got the turnover, let's say after they returned it 40 yards, you got a turnover. You still push your team back 15 yards, even if you have the turnover, by taking off your helmet. That wasn't even the worst part of it to me, right? Because you can have the next play mentality. The worst part to me is what he did afterwards with shoving his coach. Like here it is. We are playing the back-to-back champions, a team that beat us a few weeks ago, and I don't need anybody imploding because of something that happened on the field. I need us to be all together one unit because if that happens, right, anytime he's on the field, if I'm the other team and I see that, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to chirp at him as much as I can to try and get an advantage on their special team. And guess what? That takes out one phase of the football game for me. So anything you do special teams from that point on with that guy on the field, now I already got an advantage. I mean, I really probably didn't need it as a Kansas City Chiefs, but you helped give me an opportunity or give me an advantage point. And I just feel like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Let the play out. Go back to the sideline. Even if you disagree with your coach, don't push him because he's a grown man just like you. What if they would have came to blows right there in the middle of the playoff game against an opponent like Kansas City?
I mean, Katie, I don't know, like, I forget his name, and I don't know how important he is to the special teams. If he's a gunner or returner, I don't know exactly what it is.
He's a gunner. I think he's the gunner.
Okay, but to me, if that's me, and I'm not a coach. You're a coach. I've coached a little bit, but you being a coach, to me, somebody like that, if he would have walked over the sideline like that, he would have been sent to the locker room, and he would have been out of the locker room before the team got there for halftime. Because for somebody like him to be doing that to a coach, I don't care if they want to make an excuse. Oh, it wasn't like that, blah, blah, blah. You're out. See ya. I mean, I just don't have time for you, especially in a game like that where the stakes are so high. For you to lose your head, then to go over and take it out on your coach, whatever. I understand competitive fire and all that crap, but just unacceptable. I mean, it just gives leeway to anybody to feel like I'm upset. I can go and do that to whoever. Just not conducive to team structure.
Okay, but here it is, and this is one of my little like. So the thing happens. He throws his helmet and he goes over and he shoves his coach. Now, like in the event that he thought the coach screwed up, and I don't know how the coach would have, it's a kick return. It's not that special. You just go down there and tackle the guy, and you don't even go down there. You're already down there. So It would be you who didn't perform. It would be you who didn't do it. Why? So I have a tough time believing he shoved the coach because he was pissed at what the coach called. I think he thought that the Texans recovered the ball, and he was just like, yeah, and he got so excited. He went crazy. It did stupid things. But I just can't see it being him mad at the coach because of what he called. It's a kickoff. You're going to kick off right. You're going to kick off left. You're going to kick off center. That's it. That's the call.
I don't think it had anything to do with being. I think he was mad at the coach because the coach was trying to tell him, why the hell did you take off your helmet? I mean, you got to think. You got to be smart. You're playing a game. You're going to cost your team another 15 yards on a kickoff return like that. He's going out there to coach his player to be smart, and this guy's over there, oh, shut up, Paul. Where are your Saints? Yeah, that's right. They're in Cancun. They've been there since week 9. So their hairline's already tan. I'm still in the cold, man. It's all right. That's okay. I could take my hair off.
Hey, Dave, because the only people who could do that in both the chats are me and you.
No, I was saying hi to Dave Gerber.
Oh, I thought you were saying hello to yourself. I'm like, you're
an idiot.
Okay.
No.
So we're gonna go real quick into this, and if you disagree with me, you can say whatever. But here's just the thought, and I think everyone's thinking this: if you are a quarterback and you're starting to run out of bounds, and then you cut back and start running inbounds, you are no longer a quarterback. You are now a running back. Period. And the whole stopping before he ran out of bounds, Mahomes, and then he got shoved and he flopped. I agree with Eric, and it pains me to say that, but something needs to be done. You cannot allow the flopping thing to happen. I think some rules need to be changed. We'll see if they do, but Patrick Mahomes is doing exactly what he should be doing and trying to get as many yards for his team.
I have the perfect rule that will change everything and will fix this entire nonsense. It's real simple. As long as the quarterback is behind the line of scrimmage, he has the protection as a quarterback. As soon as he crosses the line of scrimmage, he loses all protection and he becomes a running back, which
that makes sense to me.
Absolutely. I mean, if he slides, the problem is with that slide, depending, like a Mahomes will slide at the last second. You cannot, from a physics standpoint, if a defender is going in to make a tackle and the quarterback decides, hey, I'm going to slide right now, he cannot stop himself in midair, or he can't be running like Tom Brady said. These guys playing football, you go in there, you are trying to cause a turnover. Defenders are trying to make a collision, to cause a turnover, to get a hit, and you can't blow on the football to knock it out. You can't blow on the quarterback to have him fall. So at what point is a quarterback no longer – he has to lose protection at some point. A slide for any player giving themselves up is afforded that protection. Even a running back, if he's running and he slides down the field, I don't think it's roughing the running back. But again, if he gives himself up in the play's dead. So the problem is a quarterback should be afforded their protection behind the line of scrimmage. Once they leave past the line of scrimmage, they should lose protection. They become a running back because too many coaches are calling quarterback run specific and they're still protecting them like a quarterback. Well, how can you when it's a quarterback run? You can't. You have to distinguish. The distinguishing line is line of scrimmage. Once you're past it, you become a running back, period.
Quite honestly, you know what would make it simpler? The quarterback he is entitled to those protections when he's in the pocket. As soon as he gets outside the tackle, he's now running back. That's the way it should be. KD, you have more knowledge about this than Dave or I. Would you please?
I don't think y'all understand the business model of the NFL. That shit will never happen, ever. Because you know what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why we're kicking this can down the road. Because you know for a fact the NFL have their baby. They have their cash cows. They're not going to sit there and have their cash cows be hurt 3 years in a row because, hey, somebody called a quarterback run and somebody got popped. So they're not going to have that. So if you want to call your quarterback run, it's very, very simple. Half of the rule is already helpful right now. Once they start their process, their slide process is that, right? However, every time they've thrown this flag, 9 times out of 10, they've gotten together and reviewed it, right? So why not say, hey, okay, look, quarterback, you got 4 yards to get your slide on. If not, if it's 3 or less, hey, that's on you. I'm not calling the flag. If we call the flag and we review it and we deem that it's 3 yards or less, hey, we waving the flag off. That's on you, quarterback. Protect your damn self.
Well, my problem is there's like I said, and this is my issue with a lot of these things, because again, it becomes a subjective thing that referees have to sit there or they have to use replay assist or so on and so forth, because of that's why I say the simplest way to do it is when the quarterback is beyond the line of scrimmage, he loses the protections of the quarterback. Anything in behind, if he's going to slide, if he's going to do that, whatever, then fair. If you slide behind the line of scrimmage and a defender still hits you in the head, does all that shit, fine. That's a penalty. That's on the defender. It's called 15 yards unnecessary roughness. If you become a running back, running backs don't get penalized for helmet to helmet. They'll get fined, but they don't get penalized lowering their helmet into another running back. They don't do it. So if you're going to run, if you are a coach and you're trying to protect your all-pro cash cow quarterback, maybe you don't call as many running plays for your cash cow quarterback if that's what you need to do to protect your team and put them in harm's way. And I understand there's scrambles that aren't necessarily running plays at the quarterback.
And that right there is going to be the issue, because I didn't call a quarterback run.
No, but that's why I say, and
right.
That's why I say, after the line of scrimmage, once you get beyond the line of scrimmage, you become a running back. You lose your protection. So if you're running and you don't want to get hit and you're going to run beyond the line of scrimmage, better get your ass down. Otherwise, you're fair game. I mean, that's just the way to even it out. That way it takes the ambiguity and the subjectiveness out of the penalty. You have a way to take the subjectiveness out of the penalty. Once you're beyond the line of scrimmage, you lose your protection. So whether you have to run to the sideline so you don't get hit, get down earlier so you don't get hit, but once you make that decision as a quarterback, you are now a running back. If you're scrambling and you're trying to get that first down, you are a running back. So
okay. I see what we're saying here, and I kind of agree with all of them. But yet, at the same token, you do have to protect these very valuable players. If I'm a owner of a team,
when is it their problem to protect themselves? I mean, how many times?
Look at Drew Bledsoe when the Jets guy lit him up.
Hold on. How many times? Right, but how many times have we seen a Patrick Mahomes or a Caleb Williams, any of these guys who run, they will start to run towards the sideline, the defender lets up, and then he cuts back in and decides to gain 5 or 6 more yards. So, and that's my point. Once you are beyond the line, you lose your protection. That way the defender doesn't have to stop and make a decision while he's trying to play his game. You're a running back. If you're going to go to the sideline because you don't want to get hurt, the onus becomes on the player not to get hurt. And if he's got to run to the sideline to not get hit, then so be it. If you're going to try to be Walter Payton or Barry Sanders, you're fair game, buddy. And I hope you stand up after you get popped by a linebacker. That's all I'm saying. Take the ambiguity out.
Well, go ahead, Katie.
You got about 3 players that really apply to.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you got about 20 of them that'll get hurt on a scramble because somebody will be roving, waiting to hit Sean, who's he's $100 million quarterback, and he's the advantageous player. So again, if you say that, okay, you're basically hurting players like Burrow. You're hurting players like not really CJ Stroud, but you're hurting the guys that don't run a lot. I scramble every now and again, but I don't do it a lot. Like the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, they'll be fine. They won't have an issue with because they pretty much protect themselves anyway. Mm-hmm. But the guys, the Joe Burrows, the Matthew Stafford, those guys will be broken because again they can't outrun some of these linebackers. And if you say, hey, look, there is no such thing of driving the quarterback to the ground because you said they're a running back, right? So guess what? Guess what's going to happen? My shoulder is going all the way into him through the ground.
Oh no, I get it.
Okay, well, we're going to move on, but anyway, just to reinforce Katie's point, it's honkies are slow. So, here we go. Sorry, Katie.
I'm pretty sure I said Josh Allen, but okay, he's not white now. Okay,
but now let's to the game itself. I do have to ask one thing. I mean, I know we talked about the roughing the passer calls and penalties come and go and whatever, and I'm not going to blame penalties or whatnot because I haven't done it all year and I'm not going to start now. I really need to understand how teams, after 8 years now with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback or 7 and Travis Kelce as your tight end, how can you continuously not cover that tight end? How can you continuously allow that guy to run freely down the middle of the field? It is beyond me how teams, and all teams in the league do it, and I just don't understand how it happens.
It is beyond me. It is absolutely beyond me. Katie, you're going to answer in a second, and then we're going to move on, but I'm sitting there with my father, and God bless him. He's the grumpiest man on the face of the earth. But I'm sitting there, I'm going, how can they not cover him? So it's a mystery to me, and hopefully the Bills will be able to cover him next week. Go ahead, Katie, please.
I haven't.
So it's two things that's going wrong here, right? You have to have a traveling defender with Kelce if you want to take him away. Or you have to have 2 guys that are on that assignment, right? And that communication has to be top notch, right? And then the next layer to this is how many people are in the lab being cerebral about their approach to not just Travis Kelce, I'm talking about the Chiefs. I'm talking about their offense, what they do, what they don't do. Hey, when they go out and do this, what are their tendencies? Do we have those students of the game? Hey, look, I'm up at 4:00 in the morning watching what Travis Kelce is doing. Because let's be real, he's not. Is he a burner? Is he still a burner? No. He's slow as all get out, right? But once you commit to certain things in the offense, you think they're going here, you basically open yourself up. You're vulnerable. If I want you to imagine the football field as zones, right? If you cover 1 through 6, right? You cover 1 through 6, and somebody thinks, hey, I have zone 5 that's supposed to have zone 6. Guess what? The entire zone 6 is open. And if I send a player from zone 1 running into zone 6, and I'm just speaking hypothetically, if I send somebody from 1 running into 6, there is no pass off because guess what? That guy that's supposed to be covering 6 is no longer there, right? And that's why that guy runs wide open down the field. And it happens so many times because, again, the approach to the defense, to Kansas City's offense, you got to say, hey, okay, look, where can they hit me? Just because they haven't done it, I got to be able to cover all my bases. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, my guys got to communicate and not panic because that's the other thing, too. When you don't communicate, you panic more.
Right.
So now you basically say, hey, look, I didn't tell this guy that I was passing them off to him. Let me just stick with him. And now I got 2 guys running on the guy that's that has low propensity to catch the ball. Like Noah Gray's. I'm not taking anything away from Noah Gray or whatever it may be, but Noah Gray, I haven't seen him in a minute catch 150 yards in the defense. Right, I just haven't seen it. And to Hot Pocket's point, he's good at shaking the defense off because who's on him? There are no more Bernard Pollards of the league or any of that nature. You try and put a little cornerback on them or a 215-pound linebacker, that's not working.
No, like I said, it's just something that, and I go back to the even the Patriots and Rob Gronkowski and all that.
I got you, Hot Pockets. I knew what you were saying.
Yeah, I knew what you're talking about because when Katie said who's on him, I was going to say Taylor Swift, but
and
taking him off. She's shaking him off. But anyway, that regardless, it just goes back to even the Rob Gronkowski. The good tight ends always like Katie, to your point, like you talked about the zones that they cover. The good tight ends, the Gronkowskis, Kelsey's, Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, those really premier tight ends. If you have they're really good. Like if you have a zone 6 and a zone 5, they'll find zone 5.5. So now you get those two defenders who are like, okay, is this his responsibility or mine? And they're kind of like stuck in that middle area. And that's where a lot of times those guys they get between those two zones. So you don't have that communication. So yeah, it does definitely make it interesting. But I'm really hoping that somebody can figure it out at some point. It is frustrating though to watch these guys. And like you said, the guy probably runs a 5.4 now as opposed to a whatever. And he's still wide open. I mean, it's like watching an offensive lineman truck down the field. Like, come on, somebody, anybody. See that big guy in the red shirt that has 87 on it? He's wide open. Anybody want to cover him? Feel free. So I don't know. Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
But the outcome was not unexpected.
Yes, Houston played a lot better game than the score, in my opinion. Anyway, KD again once explains Kelsey is not fast, so yes, honkies are slow. Sorry, Katie, I can't help myself. So you got Commanders at Lions. Wow, and this wasn't even a Dan Campbell's idiot coaching decision Sean was going to put on him. This was just, this was
wrong.
not good.
You're wrong. When you were down and you had Jamison Williams throw a pass, bad time for a trick play. Bad time for a trick play when you're trying to come back and you have Jamison Williams thrown into coverage. Bad time for a trick play. That was their downfall. Throwing that interception that Jamison Williams threw. I mean, it wasn't the total reason, but we've had games throughout this year that we've talked about dumb coaching decisions at certain critical times and things you should and shouldn't do in a playoff game when you're trying to come back and you put the ball into a wide receiver's hands at a critical time to throw a pass. There's a time in the game to do that. And then there's a time in the game where you're like, we need points. We got to get down and score. And you turn the ball over and you basically gave the game away.
Okay. Do I need to play the intro to the clip or are we good?
Go ahead.
All righty.
Sean's idiot coaching decisions of the week.
What an idiot.
That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life.
What are you, ignorant?
Are you stupid or something?
Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
One of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point could be considered a rational thought.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You are a fucking idiot.
Okay. So I don't think Dan Campbell called that play. Okay. KD, what are your thoughts about this game?
I mean, even with that play, right? Whatever. Detroit is Detroit offensively, right? My issue was you let the Commanders go up and down the field on you without any kind of hesitation. It just looked like you were like, all right, man, we are going to pack it in. We overachieved already. We are okay. There's no chance to go to the NFC Championship. There's no chance to make a Super Bowl out of this. We are good with where we finished this year. We're okay. These guys are just, they look like they hadn't played week in and week out. The Commanders on offense, they looked like they were fresh, like they had a first round bye or something. Because they had an emergence in their run game. I was just like, wait a minute, hold on. I was criticizing the Commanders for the lack of complimentary football for Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels was like, hey, look, I'm okay. I'll be complimentary. I'm glad we got a run game going. And to me, everybody did their job offensively. So I think the Commanders didn't punt until the third quarter, I want to say. Third or maybe fourth quarter, I think they didn't punt. Every other drive led 2 points, whether it was 3 or a touchdown. That was quite alarming for me. That kind of let me know, like, hey, wait a minute. I kind of screwed the pooch with this one. I did not think this is what the lines were going to be.
Let me just answer your question, Katie, and please. I've been watching the Lions for the last couple of weeks. They've been getting up a lot of fucking points. Mm-hmm. They ain't stopped anybody.
Right.
Why, as a Jet fan, Aaron Glenn going to the Jets, I'm like, I really don't know. I mean, they're like ranked 20th in defense. But anyway, but this is who the Lions are. And they were just lucky enough to outscore so many people for so long. It wasn't a shock that the game was 45-31. I mean,
but the team they played against had good offenses. Like the Rams put up 40-some points and good against good defenses, right? So my thing is that, hey, okay, are you telling me Zach Ertz, Terry McLaurin, and Jaden Daniels can put up 45 points against most NFL teams consistently?
No.
I would say no, right? So what I'm sitting there saying is, at some point, one of the tiers of your defense had to take over. Particularly, what I would have thought is their defensive line would have took over, especially with the Washington Commanders' offensive linemen getting banged up. I thought for sure, I was like, all right, okay, man, they're gonna be able to get after Jaden Daniels. Absolutely not.
No, they had no rush.
He got whatever he wanted all night.
And again, I can't stress this enough. I mean, the fact that, when you look at what they did against Minnesota in the final week, held them to 9 points, knowing that they've had 13 guys on injured reserve on defense alone, okay? I mean, where they got the record and everything, it's a testament to, I think it's a testament to Aaron Glenn and what he was able to do to salvage that defense. But more importantly, Detroit, after Hutchinson and those guys got hurt, basically Ben Johnson and the offense said, well, we ain't going to be able to stop too many people, so we have to go out and score a lot of points. I mean, that was just the way their offense had to work. Unfortunately in this game, they came into a game playing probably one of the hottest quarterbacks over the last month of the season, and Jaden Daniels, and just what he's been able to do. It was shocking, obviously, that they scored those points. But playing against the hottest quarterback and that team, again, I think the bye doesn't act. Sometimes the bye, having the first round bye, doesn't help a team because, like I've said, you have to go from sitting to coming back. When you're playing a team that what they did the week before, that team's on a roll, and you're coming in after you held Minnesota to 9 points. You have a week off, and now you have to go from stationary to having to play a team that's on this continuous roll like Washington has been over the course of the last month, okay, it's hard to get up to speed right away when you got a team that's still doing this and you're standing still. And if you're down early and you commit turnovers, and again, I think we saw the bad of Jared Goff, and the reason why the Rams let him go, get those interceptions and stuff, the things that he's been known to do in pressure situations, okay? And you have a team like Washington and Jaden Daniels being on a roll who capitalized on that. It's just hard to overcome. I mean, they tried, but you can't be giving the ball away like that constantly. 5 turnovers. They have 5 turnovers on Sunday, I believe. I think, Goff had 4 interceptions and Williams had the 1. So 5 turnovers. And friggin' Jahmyr Gibbs had a hell of a game. I mean, he was running all over the place, but he wasn't going to do it by himself. Jamison Williams had a good game as a wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown was good. Laporta made that amazing touchdown catch. But, your defense didn't step up and your offense didn't do you no favors turning the ball over 5 times. So, I put a lot of this on Goff. I put a lot of this on not being smart with the ball in critical situations.
Okay, so 2 things, and then we're going to move on to the next game. Number 1 is the bye week does not help young teams because it gives them too much time to think, and they don't get prepared. Unlike a veteran team who's been there before and they're used to it. Number 1. And number 2, I said before the year began, I don't believe in Jared Goff. And I am correct. Next year, he cannot prove me wrong because he's going to do the same goddamn thing. All right, so we're going to go on to the next game. Rams and Eagles. This was a good game. And I actually thought at the end the Rams were going to pull this out. It just, they fell a little short. Warm weather team, dome team, snow, everything. Good luck on the good game by the Philadelphia Eagles. The injury to Jalen Hurts. That's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. I'll start with David because I did KD last one, but David, your thoughts on this game?
Again, I mean, Saquon Barkley beat him. I mean,
he was awesome.
I mean, he did it to him in Los Angeles, and I mean, you can't. This game was for the Rams to take. I mean, they did everything they could to stop Philadelphia. The only thing they couldn't do was hold Saquon Barkley in check. He had the 43-yard run, and then he had the 70-some yard run to ice the game, pretty much, put it out of reach. I wasn't all that impressed with I thought the Eagles' defensive line would come out and control more of the line of scrimmage than they did. But again, the snow and the footing was kind of tough. You can't get a big push off. It does help the offense in that regard because they know how they're blocking. But again, hats off to the Eagles secondary. You're right, Mike. Their secondary was stellar again. I mean, Slay and all those guys, Quinn and Mitchell. So now is Mitchell playing this week, or I don't know if he I don't know if he did the walkthrough. I know Hurts did the walkthrough, but that's going to be interesting to see how that knee holds up. You obviously saw he couldn't do the tush push on the half-yard line. They had to send in the tight end because he couldn't do it. Maybe it was the footing, or maybe they just didn't want to take a chance with his knee. But 205 rushing yards. I mean, he had 250 in Los Angeles, and then he had 205 this week. So, I mean, whoever goes up against Saquon, that's your first and foremost stop, because the Eagles' passing game has not been very good. Katie, I'll let you expound on that, but they got to get their passing game together.
I mean, the only thing I'm going to say is the passing game better be available because I know. Look, you need a rhythm. If somebody decides that, hey, we're going to go all out to stop Saquon, all I want to see is an instant complimentary passing game. And it doesn't have to be a home run. It can be something that, hey, I'm going to loosen up your box or loosen up the box to where you can't put 7 or 8 people in the box. And now I can still do what I need to do. Right. The other part to this is if teams say, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and do that, Jalen Hurts or whoever his backup is, look, you got to be able to run the offense. You may not be able to do the tush pushes or whatever it may be, but you got to be able to move the offense up and down the field and take care of the ball at a minimum. If you don't have that, now we're talking, hey, look, if Hurts is not going, we're talking about changing the whole dynamic of this team. The whole dynamic of the team. And now you put all that pressure upon the defense. Not saying the defense can't do it. What I am sitting there saying, though, is, hey, if the defense can kind of get turnovers on downs or they can get 3 and outs or whatever it may be, and you can't score points, you allow a team to sit around and your defense is eventually going to fatigue. They are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I will say about Jalen Hurts is he's a good quarterback, but he has open passes that he should take early, and he likes to hold on to the ball. And that could be his downfall because I think Washington's pass rush can get there next week, and that could aggravate his knee even more. But otherwise, great game. It came down to the last second. I mean, Nakua making that catch at the very end, right down there was a 13-yard line or something. That was awesome. All right, so the last game, this was, you know what, KD, take it.
Hey, look, some people didn't like when, I don't know who said it. Some people didn't like when they said, hey, the Bills are going to come out and play simple on offense. Some people didn't like that. But at the end of the day, it was, hey, you got to go show that you can stop our offense. We don't need to do anything exotic. Once you show me that you can stop our offense, then we'll adjust. Right now, you show me, hey, you can't stop us consistently, right? Case in point, it was 21-10 and a half, right? The other part is the Bills, when they did this, the play very vanilla the way they played, the whole thing was don't make mistakes. We're not going to beat ourselves, right? And as long as they did that, it was, hey, okay, Baltimore, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Baltimore pressed a couple of times, and they kind of, hey, okay, look, we're going to go for it on 4th down. We're going to do this and all that good stuff. And that's fine, right? But at the same time, you got to remember who you're playing, and you got to remember, hey, okay, look, if I leave this within a one-possession game, it does not benefit me. It does not benefit me. Your whole goal was to try to get up on them early and take them away from being able to run their running back or either run Josh Allen. That was your whole goal. To say, hey, look, I need you to start throwing the ball. Not saying Josh Allen could not beat Baltimore passing, but what it does, it changes what Buffalo's strength is when it comes down to their complementary run game. In fact, it's been shown that, hey, Josh Allen doesn't have to have a Herculean passing game to go out and win a game with Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So the Ravens had multiple opportunities to go down and do what they need to do. And I got it. Some people want to blame the game on Andrews and whatnot. But the game was on everybody. Because let's be real, I think in the first quarter, if Lamar Jackson put the ball out a little bit more to the left sideline for Derrick Henry to run underneath that ball and he runs into the end zone, that changes how Buffalo prepares for him defensively because they've hit on that, right? So they didn't hit on it. So now it's like, hey, okay, look, all right, okay, you didn't hit on that. Okay, whatever. We're okay with this. The other part to this is, hey, okay, I felt like Baltimore didn't have a sense of urgency to try to go take the game away from Buffalo. Only until I think it was the fourth quarter and that last drive before the Andrews fumble, that's when you've seen the sense of urgency from Baltimore come alive. Like, all right, we really got to go down here and get this possession to go win the game. And unfortunately, it came up to the fumble. But they still got to stop, scored the touchdown, had a chance to do the 2-point conversion, and it didn't go their way. I know a lot of Ravens fans are at Mark Andrews' neck for it or whatever, or at Lamar Jackson's neck because they didn't complete it. But you got to understand that's part of football. Every play is a 50-50 play. I'm not mad at anything what went on because, again, at the end of the day, the Baltimore was down 21-10. Normally, they get blown out of the water. They fought back. And they made it a game to the point where it went down to the last minute or so. Now, hats off to Buffalo. I just want to see what this next round is going to look like because, again, they knew, like, hey, look, if we don't cause any kind of turnovers on ourselves or they don't take the ball away from us, we're in good company. Because, again, even if it's 3, right, we know the Ravens are going to take chances to take points off the board. We know that. And that's what I think kind of did them in when it comes down to, okay, look, all right, we got to know when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive.
Right. And again, to your point, it came down to a failed 2-point conversion, but also, I get upset with national media because, like, they just automatically assume, okay, if Baltimore gets the 2-point conversion, Baltimore wins the game. There's a minute and a half left. I've seen Buffalo go down the field in 10 seconds. We've seen it. And both those teams, Buffalo and Baltimore, Kansas City, they're capable of moving down the field in a very quick rate. So there's no saying that the game would have ended in overtime. It could have ended in regulation. The thing for me about Buffalo in that sequence is, had they called the right plays and done the right things that have been successful to them, the last drive that Baltimore had, it would have been inconsequential because Buffalo should have got a touchdown at the 2-yard line. The fact that they did non-Buffalo things and Baltimore was able to hold them off and settle for a field goal was very disturbing to me, just looking at what Buffalo was doing, as opposed to get your quarterback up to the line of scrimmage, push him into the end zone. He had 2 rushing touchdowns from outside or from 10 yards in. You can't push him in the end zone from the 2-yard line. Now you line him up in the shotgun and you hand the ball off to whatever. So, again, I think that kind of stuff was maddening to me as a fan watching it. But again, to Katie's point, they did come out and play a very simple game plan. Their game plan was not to make mistakes. It was nice that they came out and played a 4-3 defense. I said that the last time on the show that they had to come out with 3 linebackers and be able to stop Derrick Henry, which they did. It was really surprising to me that when they looked at the final stats that Derrick Henry only had 16 rushing attempts. And I kind of went back to the AFC Championship game against Kansas City last year. Like, besides the fact that Derrick Henry only had 16 rushing attempts, if you look at the game plan, there wasn't many or designed Lamar Jackson runs in that game plan either. I mean, anytime he ran, it was because he was scrambling out of the pocket. It wasn't the RPO fake handoff and I'm going to go around the side. The game plan was like, we're going to try to do something that they haven't seen. We're basically going to outcoach ourselves instead of doing the things that were successful for our team to get us here and play within our identity and make them stop us. We'll stop ourselves by doing something that we're not used to doing. So there was that. Also, as far as the Mark Andrews thing, everybody blamed Mark Andrews. there was only one other person that I saw, and I thought of it after, and then somebody said it like 2 days later. But I'll give Mark Andrews 90% of the blame on the drop, but Lamar Jackson did not throw a great pass on that because he tried to aim it at him. He should have. Now look at it. He should have thrown the ball where Mark Andrews was running. The ball should have been out here in front. You wanted your tight end who was running on a diagonal to turn around, try to catch the ball here while putting his foot down on a slick, snow-covered surface. And it was the same thing as the Derrick Henry throw. The Derrick Henry throw is the exact same thing. It was right down in his gut as opposed to catching it on the run where you catch the ball here, you never break stride, you never have to stop, turn around, go sideways to catch the ball and slip. Because if you look at what happened, when Mark Andrews turned to catch the ball, his right leg slipped right out from underneath him because he had to turn to stop and catch it. If he would have been in stride, running like this, and the ball's here, he never breaks stride. The ball catches him in his hands, and he goes right into the corner of the end zone. Period. Look at the.
I don't have to look at anything. I don't have to look at anything. If you play in the game of football, you don't play quarterback. What is your aiming point? You're going to throw the ball to me. What is your aiming point?
If I'm running, wait, no, my aiming? No,
stop. No, wait. I'm asking you a simple question.
Right.
You are not a quarterback. No, here. Stop. No, sir. We're not going to do this.
Go ahead.
I'll mute him for you.
If you are not a quarterback, I tell you to throw the ball to me. I'm in this jersey. Where are you going to throw the ball to me at? Where are you trying to aim to?
Wait, are we? Hold on, because that's a sure. If I'm playing,
can you answer the question? Can we answer the question?
I am. I'm going to answer you. If I'm not a quarterback and I'm throwing the ball to you, and you're in this jersey, and you're standing straight across from me, I'm going to throw it to you right here. But now, if I'm a quarterback and you are running a pattern that's taking you to the pylon, I am going to throw it to the pylon. I'm not going to throw it while you're crossing, so you have to turn your body around and catch it like this.
Do you?
I'm throwing it here because I'm wide open.
Okay, hold on. Listen, Mark Andrews was attached on the line, correct? Yeah. Right? Your cornerback is sitting out there.
But no, he wasn't. Yes, Mark Andrews was open. He had nobody there.
Your cornerback is out there, yes?
But no, I understand.
Your cornerback is sitting there. All the traffic go.
Right.
Watch the play.
Katie asked me the question.
If you don't play quarterback, and I have this shirt on, this jersey, I tell you to throw me the ball. What are you aiming at?
In between the 8 and the 9.
Thank you. I rest my case. The ball initially hit him right here in the belly. In the belly. I'm not. Look, listen. I'm not putting no fault on him. I'm going to tell you that ball was 100% catchable.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't catchable. It was.
Out of the 3 2-point conversions that Baltimore has failed, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and this one, this was the most catchable ball.
Katie, and that's why I say it. I am not questioning the catchability of the ball. The ball was catchable. All I'm saying to you, you're right. The ball was catchable, but what I'm saying to you is because there was no cornerback at the pylon because you had the cornerback. He was running wide open. The linebacker and the cornerback were in the back. Where Mark Andrews was running, he had cleared the linebacker. They had the cornerback was on his backside and the linebacker was on his backside. If I'm a quarterback and I see that play and I see where he's running to the pylon, the ball is here. I'm catching the ball in stride here. I'm not going across and then having to do this and turn around and try to catch it here. That is a bad throw on the quarterback.
You don't understand the recovery rate of a cornerback in the NFL, do you?
I don't care. You had 2 yards. He was Lamar Jackson scrambled and was in the open area, and he pump faked it and then he aimed it at him. He should have just thrown it to catch it.
Okay,
He was
okay.
wide open. That was a touch.
You are a receiver in the National Football League. What is your job?
Sure, I get it. I understand.
That's it.
You're a quarterback. Wait, but you're a quarterback. What is your job?
Paid
you can't get it. You can't get it if you start making excuses. His right leg twisted over this leg.
Work my hand.
And that's the reason why he didn't catch it. Hell no. If I throw the ball to you underhand and it gets to you to where you can do this and it hits both of them,
wait a minute.
Get the damn ball.
Sean, do you know how to share a screen?
I do know how to share a screen.
I want you to do me a favor.
I want to share your screen.
No, I want you to pull up that 2-point conversion, and I want you to share the screen. And I want you to see what I'm talking about, because I just want to show you. I get that his job is to catch the ball, and yes, it was in his hands. Just like the ball was, like you said, Derrick Henry should have caught that ball. It was in his hands. The problem was it was a bad throw because he had to come back, but it was in his hands, but he dropped it. So
you're trying to roll Derrick Henry's throw in with Mark Andrews.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying to you is, if you look at what Mark Andrews had to do based on the conditions, based on what happened, he stepped in the snow and his foot slid out. It slid completely out. So because he had to stop from running to catch the ball, he had to turn his body and catch it in his gut at his cup, as opposed to catching it here, because there was no coverage over his left shoulder at all. He had a pylon, and it was a 2-point conversion. If that ball is thrown right here for him to go like this, 2 points. It's the easiest 2-point conversion he could have had.
Brother, the man was running from the left to the right.
Yep.
Like I told you, your cornerback at the time was still running across the field.
Sure.
What you're telling me to put the ball is an instant collision.
No, it's not, because the cornerback was behind. There was no cornerback on the right side. You're telling me.
What you're telling me is Rashad Bateman was not lined up on the right side of the formation, getting ready to run.
No, because there was no wide receiver out to that side. He was in behind.
Look. Here you go. I'm watching the play for you right here. Watch this. If Rashad Bateman is not on the right side, watch this. He's gonna go back over. He's gonna start back over. Watch Rashad Bateman.
No, he's not. Look.
Just listen. Just listen.
What are you talking about?
Just look.
It's him in the pylon.
Can you keep looking? I'm telling you.
I am.
Lord have mercy. On the start of the play, you're still not listening.
Okay.
On the start of the
that's fine. But
start of the play, do you see Rashad Bateman there?
Right.
Rashad Bateman is trying.
I see him, but you know what? But wait, you know what I see? I see the tight end, I see the pylon, and I see nobody, because there's only the pylon and Mark Andrews. If I'm running this way and the ball comes to me like here, I never break stride. I never have to turn around. I'm doing this, and I'm running right into the corner of the end zone. I don't care if what you call it, Benford's on my right shoulder. I'm catching it on my left side and going straight into the end zone. But again, I don't want to argue the nuance. I'm not going to argue like all the nuances. Like I said, that was just one of my observations. That yes, as a tight end, Mark Andrews has to catch that ball. Absolutely. But if I'm looking at it fair and objectively, some of the blame is on the placement of the ball.
It's not fair and objectively. This is what I'm saying. if had Mark Andrews not caught a ball worse than that and more difficult than that, I would 100% be on board.
Sure.
He has done it before.
I get it.
He is not some flimsy receiver tight end. He's not. The dude from week 1 to 6, the dude had no touchdowns. From week 7 to 11 or 13, dude had 11 touchdowns.
No, I get it. I understand. And I'm not trying to be nitpicky.
I'm not going to say, hey, throw the ball here, throw the ball there. I'm not doing that.
Right. Well, guys. Don't give me that crap. But anyway, like I said, again, but I'll get off that whole subject. This is what I'll say. And again, this was a heavyweight bout. And when we made the picks last week, I think me and you both, KD, it was one of those picks that it could have went either way, just like this game could have went either way based on the way these two teams played. I know I went on like a 5-minute discussion about my pick because that's how close I knew this game was going to be, and it lived up to the hype. I mean, had Buffalo scored, we wouldn't have even been talking about a 2-point conversion drop because it wouldn't have mattered. The fact that it mattered heightened the gravity of him dropping the 2-pointer. So this game was exactly the way I thought it was going to be. It was going to be a 1 or 2 point game either way, and it wouldn't have shocked me who won because they were both that good teams. And that's what happens when you have two great quarterbacks. Buffalo was able to run on Baltimore, which was surprising. They were able to do the things they did on the ground. Josh Allen only threw one pass over 20 yards, and I think it was the Shakir pass early in the first quarter. He never tried to push the ball down the field. It was a very vanilla offensive game plan. It was one not to make mistakes. They didn't. Baltimore did, and Buffalo capitalized on them on 2 of the 3, got points off of 2 of the 3. But again, this game is exactly the kind of game I thought it was going to be. It was a tough, close game. So,
all right. Hey, Howdy, can you bring me a Phillips head screwdriver, please? Because
I want to stick it in my ear.
I'm screwed at this point. Okay. So, with that being said, that's what happened last weekend. Let's go on to this weekend coming up. So, we got the AFC Championship game. The Bills versus the Chiefs. I think we have seen this this before, if I'm not mistaken.
We have.
Okay. What are the thoughts and your predictions?
You get a flathead because it's as flat as that joke.
Oh,
well,
she brought me a flathead because it's as flat as that joke.
Just stick it in your brain and you don't have to listen to it. But
I'm a Jet fan. That can't affect me.
Yeah. So, look at, this game, again, it's going to come down to the team that doesn't make mistakes. I think the one thing that we've seen about Buffalo that I love about Buffalo is they can win in many different ways. They don't have to have Josh Allen be the 300-yard, 5-touchdown guy. They don't have to be, reliant on him to carry the team. The one thing that this team has been able to do all year, they don't panic. They don't, they methodically can move the ball, put points on the board. They don't panic even when they're down. They stick to what they're doing. And the fact that Josh Allen, if he has to be, can be that Superman. If he needs to put on the cape, he can. Hollywood Brown coming back to Kansas City, having that guy with DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, always an issue. They also have Isaiah Pacheco back in the lineup to go along with Kareem Hunt that they didn't have to deal with in Week 11. But the one thing that Buffalo has always done is they've been able to, for the most part, take away what works for teams minus Travis Kelce because nobody can. Okay, I'll call them the Bills from now on, Mike. So, yes. I do believe that this is the game that the Bills get over the hump and will beat Kansas City and go to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a close game, but I think this is finally they shake the monkey off their back and Buffalo goes to the Super Bowl.
Okay, so David, you are picking the Bills.
Yes.
Okay. KD, what are your thoughts on this game?
Again, like I said, man, I want to see the game plan not be vanilla against these guys. Because again, you know that they're gonna do what they gotta do. They know what's riding on this game. So Brady, I need you to be in your bag, my guy, to be ready to go. And I think it's gonna come down to the team that gets the yards after the catch. Yards after the catch is gonna really matter in this game, and that be via Kelce, be a Shakur, be a Cook, or any of the other receivers on the Chiefs. You got to kind of limit that, because if you can limit it, now you can kind of manipulate how the game is going to go. I think the defense is going to come out. They're both going to probably get a turnover or whatnot, and I think the Bills can eke them out in this particular game, because again, I just feel like they have a little bit more riding on this besides the Chiefs, because the Chiefs, again, they feel like, hey, okay, look, we're trying to three-peat, but at the end of the day, they know they don't have to press. They know that, like, hey, we don't really have to press or do anything special. Whereas with Buffalo, I think Buffalo's like, hey, look, we got them right where we want them. So I think it'll be in a 3-point game, and I really think Buffalo can pull it out this year. So
I do look for Amari Cooper to have a game.
Shit, what team does he play for?
Yep, exactly. And that's
Kinda
exactly why I think he has a game.
DeAndre Hopkins? Who does he play for?
Exactly.
Because these two big names haven't done shit in the last couple of weeks. Anyway, with this game, it comes down to it's like you're the Buffalo Bills, and you're playing your little brother in a game. Let's just call him Jeff. And no matter what you do, Jeff always wins. No. Anyway, I really do want the Buffalo Bills to win a Super Bowl. And this is their best shot at it this year right now. I don't think they're going to do it. Kansas City has always had their number. I mean, when it's 13 seconds left and you're up and you end up losing the game. I mean, the Bills have had so many bad breaks. I want them to honestly have a good game. I would love them to win and then face Philly in the Super Bowl and beat Philly, because that's like the one team in the NFC East that hasn't beaten them in the Super Bowl. So they have that going for them. There is a soft spot in my heart for the Buffalo Bills, kind of like it is for Detroit. But I just think that Kansas City, as being at home and knowing what they know, Andy Reid he's a good coach. And I think he's going to outcoach Sean McDermott. And probably if there's 10 seconds left in the game and Kansas City's down by 1 and they're on the 12-yard line, he'll call a timeout just to give the kicker a little more time. But I think Kansas City is going to win that game. So, Paoli, you cowardice man, you need to tell you who you're voting for, because we're about to go on to the next game. And we already know Paoli's going Philly. This is going to be, I don't expect this to be a good game, but I think this is going to be a good game. David, what are your thoughts?
This game here, man, I like Washington's defense. I like how physical they play. They are division rivals. Division games are always a different animal. And I really think it comes down to who the hotter quarterback has been. I mean, I know Saquon is Saquon, but I really think Washington is going to challenge Jalen Hurts to beat them in the passing game. I think they are going to, if you stop Saquon, you stop Philly. And I think that's what Washington is gearing up to do. And they're going to make Jalen Hurts beat them. I like Washington's defense. Like I said, I like how physical they are. I like the fact that Jaden Daniels, this team is playing with house money. They weren't even supposed to be here. And the fact that he's playing loose, the fact that he's not playing like a rookie. He gets De'Ami Brown, came out of nowhere, having a great year, having a great playoff so far. Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz. I'm going to take Washington in an upset in a close game, but I'm going to take Washington in an upset.
All right. KD, lay some knowledge on us besides the fact that honkies are slow.
Look, listen. I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but prepare for Washington's secondary to be exposed. Listen, I'm just being honest with you. If it gets into a shootout, now I would be worried. But I don't think Washington is going to go up and down the field like they did on what's his name, the Lions. I just don't see that. Right? Partly the reason for that is because the defensive line of the Philly, they're 2 or 3 deep, and that's going to dictate the game a lot. The other part about it is I don't see Washington saying, hey, look, we want to minimize what Jaden Daniels has to do, and Austin Eckler and Robinson, I need y'all to go out and basically help do some of the heavy lifting. I just don't see it. The other part to this is if Philly gets turnovers, they can return the ball. They can pick six you or fumble recover you or whatever it may be. And I think that bodes well for Jalen Hurts. I don't have to drive the ball 80 yards or 75 yards or whatever it may be. So I got Philly in this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a total blowout. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to agree with KD and Paoli. Philadelphia is going to win this game. I think Washington's time in the spotlight has it's over. They played a hell of a season. And I will tell Dan Quinn, he did the same thing with Atlanta, and this is a good team. And don't fall asleep on this team. But I think the magic runs out, and I think we're going to see KC and Philly in the Super Bowl again. And that's going to be the whole thong situation. Because I will already say if it's KC and Philly in the Super Bowl, KC's going to win. Haley's going to go Philly. So that's where the thong comes in. So, all righty.
Hey, so before we go, can we talk about some of the coaching hires that happened over the last couple of days?
I was just about to go there. Thoughts of Aaron Glenn at the Jets. I am not a huge fan. He used to be a Jet, but it's better than the options they had because not a lot of people want to go to the Jets.
Well, again, I think the one thing about Aaron Glenn is your defense will get right. I think I think it's going to come down to who he hires as coaches, especially offensive coordinator. Because the fact is, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers stays there because I don't think Aaron Glenn wants him. I think what the Jets have to do is they have to hire the right offensive coordinator and QB coach. They have to draft a quarterback, and they have to develop a quarterback to be consistent. They need continuity in the position. Trying to sign veterans, it doesn't do anything to an organization that has to understand that it has to retool, rebuild, and get the most out of your organization, especially when you're giving a job to a first-time head coach. You got to let him develop the team that he wants. You got to let him develop the young quarterback. You got to let him develop that team and to mold it into what he wants it. You can't do that by going out and getting these stopgap rental players that, you know, might give you a good year, but then you got another 4 years of rebuilding. If you got a first-year head coach, you get a first-year quarterback, you let that team grow and you let it build into the identity that you want him to. So I think his assistant coaches are going to be key. I think drafting the right quarterback is going to be key. And I think he can be successful. I mean, he's a good defensive coordinator, and they got a hell of a defensive team that just has to go out there and produce. KD, I'll give it to you.
Absolutely love the hire. Love it. Here's the reason why. You gave him a baseline. You gave him a baseline of players already for what his specialty is, right? Here's why I can be wary of the particular hire. The GM needs to go to him and say, hey, look, okay, what do you need offensive and defensive philosophy-wise? What are the type of players, or who are the type of players? You got any players in mind, right? And I'm just spitballing here. If I'm the Jets, I'm going with a quarterback that's going to have a minimal pressure as we go and do what we need to do. A minimal pressure, because you got two good running backs already. You got decent receivers in some shape or form. I don't know what's going on with Adams. I don't know if he's going to stay there or not. But even if he doesn't stay there, hey, okay, look, he hits the market. What can we get from him? Whether that's a 4th round pick, 5th round pick, whatever it may be. Get rid of all the people that don't want to be there, and they believe Aaron Rodgers is their God. Okay, get rid of all those guys. Hey, all y'all got to go. All right. Once you do that, now you kind of say, okay, look, all right, man, I got me a short yardage receiver or intermediate threat with Wilson. Who's on the market? A T. Higgins coming to the Jets. DeAndre Hopkins, another guy, possession guy. Again, he is not the future, but you can do the stopgap thing with the receivers until one of your young wide receivers light bulb turns on. You can do that, right? And if he's serviceable, he might as well go ahead and do that and make it easier on your quarterback. A player that comes to mind that I would like to see in you guys' uniform, the Jets, if I'm y'all, Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard can move around, can throw the ball if you need him to throw it, but I don't have to have him throw it 40 times, right? I don't have to have him throw it 40 times. Look at the defenses that I play outside of Buffalo. I don't really have a lot of teams that's going to, in defensive wise, depending on what New England does, but I don't have defenses that's going to come in and kill my quarterback within the division. So now when you have that, now you got to reinforce the offensive line. Once you do those two things, I think this thing could turn to something really special, because if you get the right coordinators to come in there and help develop this quarterback to where, hey, he's like, look, I don't need you to go out and be Joe Montana. I just need you to go out and do you. If it's 15 passes in the game and you get 125 yards and we win the games like that, I'm okay with that. That's what I would like to see moving forward. Who's you guys GM, Sean, by the way?
We don't have one yet.
Oh, Lord.
Didn't they just – no, they didn't.
And see, that's what sucks, right? because that GM could come in and be like, "Hey, Mr. Glenn, I got it. You said you want this, but no, we want this guy because we feel like he's going to sell tickets."
I will say they interviewed the Lions assistant GM when they were pursuing Ben Johnson. When they talked, so that guy, the Lions assistant GM, might still be in play for the Jets. So the continuity between him and Aaron Glenn might work out well if they end up hiring him, because at least they'll be on the same page and have the same kind of philosophy as to what they want to do.
All I was going to say is, as a Jet fan, when Katie said, "Who's their GM?" and I said, "They don't have one," I was like, "Oh God, yeah, that's my life. That's my life."
Well, they might have one in mind. I mean, they might have that assistant GM for the Lions one.
Yeah, but see, but then, right, that meeting of the minds has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because okay, Sean, let's say Sean's the GM,
mm-hmm.
You're the head coach, and I'm the defensive coordinator, right? Who do you think is going to get fired first when stuff hits the fan?
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? So if that is going to be the case,
that question.
You said what now?
I don't know the answer to that question. What was the answer? Who's getting fired first?
Probably the coordinator. Probably the coordinator. But oh Lord.
No, sorry.
Probably the coordinator getting fired first, right? Because I'm trying to save face, right? So why not go ahead and say, look, man, who do you want? What kind of players do you want? What do you need to make the offensive effective? Offensive coordinator. What do you need, defensive coordinator, to make the defense effective, and so forth? Because then, even if somebody gets fired, I still have my personnel. If that makes sense to y'all. But because yeah, I can fire the coordinator all night long. But what's worse is I end up with bad players, and my coordinators go away.
Yes, you're right, Katie, and I apologize to our public. I was making a very bad joke, but I've kind of been doing them all night long. I'm going to get us canceled. Oh no, I can't get us canceled anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. So we're all good.
So look, if you want any protection, just yell out randomly, Rooney Rule.
There you go. So okay, so besides that, we had in the Bears. They hired, was it the
Ben Johnson,
offensive coordinator from the Lions?
Yeah, this is where I find it interesting, and I like the hire because I like the fact that he might be able to do certain things with Caleb Williams, and get his style under control and figure out that my fear and trepidation about Ben Johnson. And again, it's going to come down to, I mean, I don't know what role. I don't know if he's going to be a Kevin Stefanski who is the head coach and decides to run the offense, if he's going to bring in a coordinator, whoever his quarterback coach is, because my biggest issue with Ben Johnson is to what Sean was saying earlier about Detroit, about Jared Goff. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jared Goff was traded to Detroit after his second season as a quarterback. And I have not, in the time that Jared Goff has been in Detroit, I have not seen Jared Goff be any different of a quarterback than he was with the Rams. I believe Detroit had some very special players, had a lot of talent, had a coach that was aggressive, that was no nonsense, that was go for it, do those things. But I didn't see a progression from Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been consistently Jared Goff. And when you take over a team that has a young quarterback like Caleb Williams, who had the issues that he had, you need to make sure you are hiring a coach that can progress your rookie quarterback. And I didn't see that out of Jared Goff. Even though he was in his second year, I didn't see that from Jared Goff in Detroit. And so that is my major concern with Ben Johnson. Not that I'm not saying he's not going to be a good head coach, but you can be an offensive wizard and you can do these wonderful things with these multi-talented people. But when you go to a different organization that you don't have that level of athletes, you don't have that level of, players who can pull off what you've done offensively and the creativeness you've done and the trickery and the throwing the ball to a deep offensive tackle or doing this or doing that. You have to bring something else to the table, and that's what I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what he can bring to the table outside of the things that he had in Detroit with a head coach that played very aggressively and was just very, balls to the wall.
Well, maybe you can Harry Potter his ass. You can be like Hagrid and be like, "You're a coach, Ben." You can do it all.
Maybe. KD, what do you think about Ben?
Absolutely hate the hire.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely hate it. The Bears are not ran like the Lions. They are not. I'm just calling it what it is. The personnel, what you guys are talking about, is the biggest issue, biggest glaring issue. Because at one point, the Lions had 3 all-pro linemen on their offensive line. At another point, they had at least 2, if not Pro Bowl, if not all Pro Bowl caliber pass rushers. Not saying Chicago doesn't have decent players. What I see is their offensive line needs a complete revamping. The next thing is you can't get away with some of the stuff you were getting away with. You don't have that speed. The last part to it is, remember I told you guys, I just said it, I alluded to it with the Jets. GM, head coach have to be married when it comes down to, hey, okay, look, I'm going to get you the personnel that you need. I understand your philosophy. I understand what you're trying to do. If you go out and get me a bunch of 6'4" wide receivers and I want to dink and dunk, I don't want to throw jump balls. I don't want to throw 50-50 balls. In fact, I don't even want to throw the damn ball. I want to throw the ball 13 times. I want to run it more than I want. If you go give me a bunch of 6'4" wide receivers, what's that going to do for me? Nothing. It's just going to expedite my 1 year and done getting the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't like it. I don't like it until I see what the GM is going to give him at his disposal, and I just don't see it as of right now.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to ask you both one question, then I am going to get off, and you can continue. But this is something Jeff and I have kind of gone on and on about for the last 2 years. Did the Bears make the wrong decision last year by trading away Fields? They should have kept him and traded away the first pick for a shitload more draft picks because people needed them. Was that a mistake or was that a good move?
Katie, go ahead. I'll let you answer first.
They still picked. Didn't they have 2 picks in the top 10?
They had 1 and 9.
Okay. So again, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy again. If you were going to take and trade Justin Fields, it's just like what I was asking. Why not take Jaden Daniels?
Well, it wasn't about the Jaden Daniels thing. Should they have kept the first pick? I mean, hindsight is 2020.
What? Yeah, but okay. This is what I'm saying, though. This is what I'm saying. If I knew I didn't believe in Justin Fields, I knew this, right? If I didn't believe in him, and I said, okay, look, man, we're gonna trade him away for, I don't know, a 6th-round draft pick or whatever it is, or a bag of fucking peanuts, right? You have the number 1 pick and the 9th pick. You have quarterbacks that's in this draft that could have been something that you thought it was good. And I'm using Jaden Daniels as an example. It could have been Bo Nix. It could have been a lot of more guys that you felt like, hey, okay, they were better quarterbacks to get me where I need to be than Fields. That's what I'm saying.
Well, and this is the question I have is why would you trade a Justin Fields, keep the number 1 pick, and then draft a quarterback just like Justin Fields? Because you already had that on your roster and it didn't work. Okay? You already had a guy, exactly. So you already had a guy that it didn't work. You brought back the same general manager and coaching staff to bring in a guy that your offense didn't work with. So you said, oh, well, I'm just going to get a different name, insert said jersey, and it's going to be Justin Fields 2.0. Because, again, with the number 1 pick, knowing where you were, their first mistake was the GM and the coach should have been fired the year before. A new general manager and coach should have been brought in. Then they could have decided the vision and the direction that they wanted to go, whether it was to keep Justin Fields, trade the first overall pick, maybe get pick number 4, because then you trade down to number 4, you get a boatload of picks. But more importantly, if you keep Justin Fields, you can draft Joe Alt at number 4 and rebuild your offensive line and give him better protection. Okay, you look at the star-studded name, but forget what your team needs really are. Okay, your team needs weren't a quarterback; they were things to protect the quarterback. A playmaker like Rome Odunze to help you out offensively. With the other draft picks, you could have drafted another interior lineman, another offensive lineman. Your offensive line is pitiful from one end of the line to the other. So the things you could have done didn't have to necessarily involve them drafting a quarterback because they already had a quarterback on their roster. It was a matter of getting him the parts to develop him. And I think that's the problem with Chicago, and that's what it's been for years. They look at the shiny toy, but forget what they have to do to make the shiny toy stay shiny. And so
I'm going to wind this up for myself in 30 seconds. They should have kept Justin Fields, traded that pick away, as I said before the season began, because someone needed that pick, the number 1. And they could have gone for it. Caleb was not the answer. So they could have gotten 2-3 years of great picks and really set Chicago up for huge success. Not that every pick is going to be great, because we all know sometimes you strike out. But they screwed this one up. And how they still have the same general manager after that, I don't know. But anyway, all right, so that's over and done with. I am going to get off. Do you guys want to talk about anything else, or do you want to wrap it up?
You good? I don't think we have much else to talk about. So, no, we're good. We can wrap it up.
We will see you all next week on Wednesday. David's got to work late, so we're going to be on time, but David's going to come in late. But he will be here. KD, I expect you to be here and not as racist as you were this week. I'd appreciate that.
Hey.
What? Next week we're going.
What are you going to tell me? Hockeys are fast? Is that where you're going?
No, next week, folks. Just so you know, we're going to go over our beginning of the year picks. We're going to look and see what we got right, what we got wrong, what our Super Bowl choices were, all that. And hey, if there's anything that you guys want to discuss or talk about, go on to From the Couch, put your questions on the From the Couch group page. We will discuss them, talk about them, anything that you want to talk about. We'll talk about anything that comes along with the hirings of coaches. Now that the Jaguars are coachless and GMless, things might get interesting with Bill Belichick and Mike Lombardi. You never know. But like I said, anything you guys want to talk about, any questions you want answered, any critiques you want to give us, if you want to talk about my receding hairline, I'll be more than happy to explain that to you. Haven't tried Rogaine yet, but I'm working on it. So,
all right. Well, with that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope it was entertaining. You all had fun. And we will see you next week from the couch.